and welcome back to our SEZ Fireside Chat, the podcast where we explore how Jamaica's special economic zones are transforming the business landscape. I'm your host, Michael Montague Jr., Manager for Business Development within the Special Economic Zone Authority. And today, we will be discussing how SEZs can be sustainable and the global competitiveness. Joining us today is none other than our Senior Director for Legal Services, Mrs. Janis Williams. Hi Janis, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing great, thank you. And thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
So, we want to kick things off with the term sustainability and what it means for the regime. I know at the authority, we have coiled the term sustainability because of our Jamaican culture, right? So I wanted to take us into what sustainability means and how the authority is integrating it into our regime.
Okay, so sustainability is just to figure out how to make something last and how to make it last well. At the Special Economic Zone Authority, we offer incentives to companies to come into the regime because we want you to come and develop Jamaica, right? So that development could be infrastructure and or jobs. So when you're looking at sustainability from that development perspective, what you want is you want to be able to come into a business or industry that can scale well, is adaptable and flexible to what's going to happen in the global markets, offers a positive impact on society, whether that be jobs or other community developments and incentives, and is there for not just one generation, but 2 and 3 and 4 generations. So at the authority, when we're looking at your application, we're looking to see that what your idea is not just a trend, but can actually last and stand the test of time.
Janet, since we're talking about sustainability, tell us what is happening with ESG.
Okay, so ESG unfortunately has been taking a reputational hit. The industry believes that it is not adequate enough to address the issues of climate change and the impact on the environment. So where we are going with it now is a wider, more comprehensive and integrated approach to sustainability. And that's important because when you adopt that kind of approach, that's when you're actually going to see more profits coming out of your business.
Right.
Not just because this new generation of consumers are concerned with what's happening with your impact on the world, but because sustainability as an adopted practice integrated within your operations actually helps you to save money and actually helps you to access a wider profit margin because you have less waste, right? So ESG is really only a small component of sustainability. And one of the things that we are looking at the authority is how to support our developers and occupants and our sponsors who are looking for ways to finance sustainable development. And sustainable development is also, built on things like your impact, your harmony, how is it actually going to work in terms of your operations, as well as what kind of profit it's going to build into your operations.
Yeah.
So at the authority, what we are trying to do, because we have adopted sustainability, that actually speaks to the wider approach to ESG. So we are on par with where the world is going in relation to that.
Right, and there has been global regulations that has been put in place in terms of climate change and all the essence of sustainability, right? And once we talk about that, we cannot forget the aspect of climate change. Now, I wanted to just tell us a little bit more on that for those of our prospective investors who will be looking on and have that concern.
Okay, so persons might think that climate change has nothing to do with business, especially in logistics. But the fact is, if you are in shipping, you know that you're going to have to start looking at what your carbon emissions are. And very soon, especially if you're shipping between Europe, Asia, North America, and the Caribbean, you're going to have to be looking at publishing your carbon emissions. And the reason why you have to look at that is because you're going to actually start paying fines if you are above a certain amount of carbon emissions. So what we are doing at the authority is we're looking at how to make the logistics supply chain from air, sea, land, and train, rail as they call it, how that impact can be tracked along our own logistics hub and see how we can help to make sure that your carbon emissions are reduced, because we have such natural resources here in Jamaica that you can take advantage of towards alternative energy. So for example, if we have a developer who decides that he is going to provide alternative energy for ships that want to plug in at our ports, that is something that is being facilitated through discussions and consultations with our GOJ partners. So Jamaica is on board to make it easier for persons to ship not just to Jamaica, but through Jamaica as a transshipment hub. So that's just one of the ways that the global regulations are changing towards, making sure that climate change is being impacted by some of the more positive things that our bigger polluters are doing with shipping in between and globalization and trade. Another thing that we're looking at is how do companies actually track their impact on the environment? Now, I had mentioned before that some of the entry requirements to come into the SEZ when you're filing your application is to make sure that what you are doing is sustainable and does not have a negative impact on the environment.
Right.
That said, we do have something called our Sustainability Awards, where we actually look at whether or not you are creating a positive impact on the environment. Because, for example, rather than just trying to get to net zero, which is an admirable goal, but not the end goal, if you can actually contribute to cooling the globe, cooling the earth, then it means that you have a positive impact, and that can actually be traded up to more profits for you and make you eligible for a Sustainability Award at the end of the year.
Right, so we spoke about the encouragement of it. As we spoke about the SEZ Awards, what are some other initiatives or strategies or support that the authority is lending in ensuring that our SEZ entities are sustainable, are living up to our sustainability culture?
Well, we are doing two things. So number one, we want to be able to set an example for you. So we are actually looking for and in discussions with partners who can help to make your compliance with our sustainability standards easier. For example, if we can offer you, and you take advantage of the offer, persons to come and take away your recycling and turn it into something that you can use within your zone, that's also an option. Another option that's available to you is if you can indicate how you are positively impacting the community around the zone. For example, those who are doing community enrichment programs, we are happy to highlight and promote that for you so you can actually have more access to what is already available through private sector and through government to make your program even bigger and better.
And we do also participate in a lot of tree planting initiatives, so that is also one aspect of that. Our CEO would have mentioned how many companies we have operating across the different zones across the island. How have the companies been responding to this requirement of sustainability across the regime?
Okay, so it's an entry requirement. So that means that when you are making your application, you do have to demonstrate how sustainability will be interwoven into your operations and into your business practices. So we look at things like how you're going to impact the environment based on the physical infrastructure as well as your operational infrastructure. So you're looking at things like your output. Are you going to have waste, whether it's e-waste or chemical waste? Are you going to be employing persons, and when you're employing them, are you doing so to give them life skills or other training to help them not just do their job, but to continue to develop in terms of their skills that they can give to persons, give to their employers as they move along within the company? Our mandate is to make sure that persons who go into an SEZ company can come out with marketable skills, right? So we want to make sure that when we're looking at your application, that you are employing persons and giving them those skills so they can upskill as well. Additionally, we want to see what you're going to be doing for the built environment. So we don't want you to just come and build something that's going to have a negative impact on the environment. Right. We're already suffering the results of climate change. We are already in an area where we have hurricanes almost yearly, some small, some devastating. So we do have to look at it from the point of entry where you are filing your applications to see whether or not you have ticked the boxes. And we can go into that, but that's just details. But we do look and see how you are going along in terms of what you have sent to us, first year, second year, third year operation of your business and continuing.
No, we do all of this so that we can trade and trade not just locally, but on a global scale.
Right.
I want to segue a little bit into global trade and how that is incorporated with the special economic zones regime. So how does the authority support companies in their global trade through the SEZ regime?
Okay, so we do it very simply. We understand that the market is not going to only be in Jamaica. We only have a population of 3.1 million. So if you are really looking to scale your business, you have to think of exporting outside of Jamaica. You can export into the Caribbean or you can export even wider. And there are different things that are happening to allow that to happen. If you are completely new to exporting, we would encourage you to enroll in the Export Academy, which is something offered by our GOJ partners. If you're not new to exporting and what you're looking for are markets, we encourage you to have a conversation with the authority because we have traveled far and wide to obtain persons who are looking for persons to sell B2B to them. We have persons who are already in your industry that you can establish connections and partnerships to. Additionally, we are the ones who are advocating for greater and better and wider trade agreements with our partners all over the world so that you can take advantage of those trade agreements and facilitations being made not just by the Jamaican government but other governments to trade your goods internationally.
Now tell me, Janis, and I want to own in on the trade agreements just so our prospective investors can understand the potential that Jamaica's special economic zone regime has in terms of maximizing their investment. Share with me some of those trade agreements that are there.
So we have the Caribbean Basin Initiative, which allows us to trade at a preferential rate with the U.S. Of course, there's the CARICOM trade agreement, which allows us to trade within the region at a preferential rate, depending on what the product is. We encourage you to come in, let us know exactly what it is that you're trading, so we can line you up with the relevant trade agreements. We just did a trip to India the other day, and they're very interested in continuing trade with us and expanding that trade. Right. We would have done some work in the UK where they are also interested in getting some more Jamaican products there. So we encourage you really to just come and let us know what is on the horizon for you and what is right in front of you so we can make sure to pave the way. And
I'm happy that you went there because my next question is what is on the horizon for the special economic zone, the regulations, the act? What is on the horizon?
Okay, so we have a couple of things happening. Globally, how we trade with each other is shifting. How we take advantage of logistics is shifting. Right. And we want to make sure that people understand the opportunities that Jamaica has, not just because of where we're positioned, but because of the fact that the government is really, really trying very hard to make sure that it is easy for persons to be able to trade. So, of course, trading is regulated by trade agreements and jurisdictional legislation. For Jamaica and our Special Economic Zone Authority, one huge thing that we have on the horizon is we are in the process of amending our act so that persons who are in the intellectual property space can take advantage of the SEZ incentives that are available. Right now, you're not able to come into the SEZ and have as your substantive activity, your main activity, intellectual property services. But once that amendment is done, you'll be able to do that. So if you are a producer or an editor or in filmography at all, you're a cinematographer, etc., and you want to come to Jamaica, film and shoot in Jamaica entirely, the production, post-production, all of it can be done in the SEZ once those amendments come through. So that's IP services. Additionally, we are taking the other nodes of the Logistics Hub Initiative, and we are moving faster and further towards our goal. So one of the things that we really want to do is we really want persons to take advantage of the rules of origin. That is something that we're exploring now. If you are able to get rules of origin designation in the SEZ, it means that you could scale faster and further. So we're also looking to see how we can use that to better produce, faster produce more within the SEZ to expand and export further.
Nice. Janis, thank you for those powerful invites. And it is clear that being a part of the SEZ regime is not just about your investment, but being sustainable, the global competitiveness that it affords you, right? And I know this is just part one of our conversation. As next episode, we will be speaking on green SEZs. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.